back to the channel of Pro Enzo Vids, and this is my Week 1 Rugby League World Cup 2022 finals, quarterfinals, Week 1 preview. So basically my tips and predictions for the weekend ahead, and it's a very exciting weekend because it's finals, Week 1, and I'm absolutely keen for it. You know, it's the first ever finals of the World Cup we've had since 2017, so it's a good 5 years ago, and I still remember the World Cup finals back then pretty well, but it's been too long, and I think it's having it back for this time around is going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to the whole weekend ahead. So really I'm keen to see who wins and who comes away with the victories, etc. So, you know, we've got obviously a good 4 games this week. Obviously, the first one is Australia versus Lebanon, which should be a cracker. Then you got England versus PNG, which should be a very tough game. And then you got New Zealand versus Fiji, which is going to be a very competitive, high-scoring game. I'm predicting there, but very close. And I'm also going to say that Tonga and Samoa, without a doubt, is going to be one of the best probably games this weekend, you know. But yeah, look, before I do start, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Just want to sort of say thank you to those that have recently subscribed, because I have hit the mark of 2,670 subscribers, so that's obviously a very good achievement for my channel, and you know, I've been really impressed with the growth recently, so it does, you know, make me feel pretty happy, I suppose I can say that. It makes me feel... Okay, so Australia versus Lebanon is a game that kicks off the quarterfinals for 2022. So, a game where I genuinely do believe it will be tight at some stages, but I do think there's other times where I do see Australia just being too clutch and I guess too better in general in some areas. You know, looking at both sides, actually, it looks like that, you know, Lebanon have named a pretty decent team. I mean, obviously Australia are the better side, but I guess looking at both sides, there's not really much between them both. I mean, yeah, there is in terms of the forward pack and maybe some of the backs, but I think, you know, Lebanon have enough talent to compete with Australia. Like, they've got Karaz, you know, they've got Dewey, Moses. You know, if guys like Dewey and Moses, who especially the other halves and touch the ball the most, you know, if those two guys can, I guess, play the natural game and play it to an extent where it pushes Australia, I do think they are a chance to, I guess, make the scoreline a bit more tighter than what we think. But at this point, I do see Australia coming away with a big win. But looking at both ins and outs of both sides, so Australia have Angus Crichton, Cameron Munster, Harry Grant, Jake Trbojevic, Josh Adokar, and Patrick Harrigan all in after missing last week's game against Italy. And out is Ben Hunt, Jeremiah Nanai, Matt Burton, Murray Tuilagi, and Regan Cameron-Gillard. And obviously the halfback is Daly Cherry-Evans, but there's talk that it might be a swap between him and Cleary before the game starts, but we'll have to see what happens, I guess. But yeah, that's some of the early news there. As for Lebanon, the ins and outs for them are Hannah El Nacha is in, Jacob Karaz and Kane Kalachi are all in. As for outs, Michael Tanus and Tony Maruna are out as well. So, yeah, so that's pretty much the makeup of both sides there. Who am I tipping? Going to tip Australia here, 13+. I think that's the right thing to do, is tip Australia 13+. Should be way too good for Lebanon, and I do think they'll have a big win. So, Australia 13+, and my first try scorer is going to be Campbell Graham on the wing, and my anytime try scorer is going to be Latrell Mitchell, Cameron Munster, and I'm also going to go with Cameron Murray at lock. Alright, on to the very next game now. It is England versus Papua New Guinea, and this has been taking place at DW Stadium, so home of the Wigan Warriors, obviously, and this ground is at Wigan, so nice ground, mind you, as well, so it should be a good game, this one, England Papua New Guinea. I do rate both nations pretty highly, because England have the advantage by playing, you know, in all these English venues, since most of their players are pretty much, you know, from the Super League, and obviously would have some sort of understanding and experience playing at the ground, etc. But as for Papua New Guinea, they're a very tough side, and they're a very good side with a lot of talent. I rate them in general pretty highly, Papua New Guinea. I do think they can push England all the way and potentially win. But again, both sides are just as good as each other, so it should be a very tough game, this one, and it's at 1:30 AM in the morning Australian time, so I will be up to watch this one. I will get up and watch it. I'll be committed to watching this one, and I'll be committed to watching all the finals games for the World Cup, so I should be all good for that. So without further ado, going to get through both sides. So the ins and outs. Oh, hang on. There's no teams yet. Okay, so well that makes it hard then. But I'm gonna go off for what I probably know from last week. So as for England, I don't think we've got much changes. I think that they're probably gonna keep Dominic Young in there since he has been fantastic for the English side so far. He's been killing it for them, and he's been doing great. I'm sure that from other past previous weeks, they're not going to change much England. And as for Papua New Guinea, I'm sure they're going to change a couple of things, but probably going to keep most of the same side as that side they've pretty much kept throughout the whole tournament has sort of lifted them to the finals campaign. So I think they'll probably keep it the same way against England, but yeah, it's a very tough game to tip actually. I'm really am thinking about who I should go with here. Who am I going to tip though? I am going to tip England 1-12, but don't be surprised if Papua New Guinea win though, because I do think Papua New Guinea have the talent to push England all the way, but I do feel like England just through Tompkins to Young and through Burgess and Knowles and Batchelor, all these guys and Wellesby too, all these guys that provide so much. I feel like that their experience and their, I guess, them in general, and I guess the whole England team in general will overcome Papua New Guinea, but the PNGs can definitely put up a performance, so I do think they're a chance, but for the time being, I've got England 1-12. Righto, on to the third game now. It is New Zealand versus Fiji, and this will be an absolute cracker, I reckon. This is going to be a very intense game because I feel like both sides are very competitive. Obviously, in the last World Cup in 2017, both these sides did play against each other, and that resulted in a New Zealand win. And they were a bit too good for Fiji that day, but I do remember that day pretty well. I remember that game pretty clearly, actually. That was a pretty clear game to remember that one. So, yeah, I do remember that game very well. So, let's see how this one pans out when they do play again, New Zealand and Fiji. I think it'll be a good game. The game's being played at MKM Stadium there in Hull, so a nice ground to obviously play at. So, yeah, going to be good, this one. I'm looking forward to it. On at 6:30 a.m. Sunday morning, so definitely will watch that one. Now, look, the issue is there's no team list. Can't see a team list for New Zealand or Fiji, so going to have to do what I did to get for the England and Papua New Guinea sort of preview before, and that's sort of talk about how both sides are looking coming into this game and what changes or players will probably shine out for both sides. So look, obviously last week I reviewed the game of New Zealand and Ireland. I watched that game too, and I think Jerome Hughes was obviously was man of the match, but I think that him on debut for the New Zealand side obviously shows that he's very crucial, and obviously it does go to show that he is their long-term 7 going forward, I assume, for the New Zealand side. So, had a very successful debut last week, Jerome Hughes, and it's hard to believe that it was his World Cup debut because obviously COVID's impacted his debut and several other debuts, debutants, I guess. So, it was good to see Jerome Hughes show what he can do, especially in a World Cup sort of arena. So, that was good to see. But yeah, guys like Joseph Manu, Hargreaves, well, he's out, but he and Nelson were great last week against the Islands, so I think that Nelson will be big for them as well. I think Mulatalo will probably have to come back and have a better game, unlike he did against Ireland. I think it was okay against Ireland, but it wasn't his best game. But I expect all those guys in general for the New Zealanders to bounce back and play hard. As for Fiji, Fiji are one talented team, and I think they're going to do really well come this game. I mean, they were challenged by Scotland last week. I mean, Scotland did challenge them, give them a run for their money, but I think Fiji's talent and guys like Kikau and Wakeham both started and got them home in the end. So I think that they need to, I guess, sort of lift the intensity and play a bit better against New Zealand, but I think that either way, it's going to be a very close game, and I can see going either way. But who am I tipping? Going to go with New Zealand here 1-12, so probably New Zealand by about, I'd say 6 to 10 points. And my first try scorer is going to be through Ronaldo Mulatalo. Do you believe he'll bounce back and score the first try of this match? I do believe Joseph Manu will score any time. And I can also see Brandon Smith scoring from dummy half. Look, I don't know if he's playing, but I assume he will be playing. So I am backing him for a try anytime as well. As for Fiji, I'm going to back in Liam kick out for a try since he's been scoring nearly every week for Fiji. And I'm also going to back in Sunia Turuva as my other try scorer for them. Okay, on to the very last game now. It is Samoa versus Tonga, and my God, this will be a much highly anticipated match, but a very emotional game as well, because I do believe a Samoa versus Tonga match is going to be so built on emotions and built on so much, I guess, hype and all that, because obviously it's two of the biggest Pacifica sort of nations out there, and you know, it's going to be very big when these two sides do come together and play. The last time these two sides played was back in 2017 when Tonga beat them that day, actually 32 points to 18, beat Samoa there, and you know, this is on a Monday morning, 1:30 a.m. So might be a little bit hard for me as I go get up for school and that time. But who knows? I could probably maybe watch it. I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be a big game either way. So I'm looking forward to watching it. If it's live or after when it happens, we'll see what happens. But should be a big game either way. But looking now, no team list. I just realised no team list for both sides. So gonna have to sort of do what I did before. Well, just to actually sort of start it off, both of these sides are playing at Halliwell Jones Stadium. So basically, Halliwell Jones Stadium is the home of the Warrington Wolves in the Super League, and it's play at a good stadium. So this should be a great stadium to host a game like this. But based on last week, how Tonga went, obviously Tonga were too good. They thumped Cook Islands 94 points to 4. I'm pretty sure the score was, or could have been 94-10, but one of them, I think. But Tonga, yeah, they were too clinical last week, smashed Cook Islands, and you know, a lot of players started out for them. You know, Sonny Luke has been pretty good recently. I think I think guys like Sully, I think, you know, players like Tessie New was pretty good against Cook Islands too. So obviously a lot of the Tongan players fired last week in their big win, and we'll see how they go against Samoa this time, who I guess are a bit more of a tougher opponent, unlike a med sort of side like Cook Islands. But as for Samoa, Samoa were obviously very good themselves last week as well. They obviously were way too good for the French, and you know, I think French were tipped amongst some to, I guess, come away with a win, but I think Samoa were always going to win in my opinion, and I think they went too well and too good for that French side in the end. So yeah, good to see Samoa, I guess, get up and play some better footy than they did against England the first time early in the World Cup. So they definitely come good, Samoa. So it should be a good one, this one in general. But who am I tipping? I'm actually going to tip Tonga to win here. I do think Tonga, for me, just have a bit more than what Samoa can offer. But I could be wrong in saying that, because it can definitely go either way. But for the time being, I've got Tonga to win here 1-12 and by 12 points. And my first try scorer is going to be Daniel Tupou if he's playing. And my anytime try scorer is going to be Sonny Luke from dummy half. And I'm also going to say Tui Lola here for a try anytime as well for Tonga. And for Samoa, I'm going to go Brian Toto any time. And I might also go with tough one. I might go with you know what, stuff it. I'm gonna go with Anthony Milford anytime, and maybe you'll get a lucky try. I just have a feeling you could get over the line somewhere. But anyways, everyone, that's my Rugby League World Cup 2021 or 2022 week 1 of finals preview there. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your tips in the comment section down below. But until then, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.